welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. I am so happy to be here with you. We get to have fun, talk about Nashville soccer, and do other soccer conversations as well. My name is Stephen Robinson, your host. I will be your ferryman as we take a trip down the river Styx together
We're
because I'm
going
excited.
to hell?
It's really hot out. So that was kind of my thought process of it's hotter than hell outside. So I will be your ferryman guiding us down the river Styx at the current moment. Of course, I'm with Clay Trainum and Valair Shabilla. They are my oars.
What'd you call me? Excuse
I don't know
you?
how
I called you a
I feel
paddle,
about
Valair. I called you a paddle.
I don't know how I feel about the idea that you're just automatically the leader of this. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Ferryman. That's not necessarily the leader. I'm just saying ferryman specifically.
I am an
but
inanimate object in your fantasy. I'm just
I
a
mean,
wooden
Anyway,
paddle.
I'm happy to be back from Switzerland. I was gone for a little while, as you guys know. I had a good time. I went up a couple mountains. I didn't watch any of the game against the Swiss, but I will say, and I'm not sure if you guys brought it up on last week's episode, I will say that I feel singularly responsible for Nashville SC's win over the Fire because I woke up in the middle of the night in Witznau, Switzerland. I looked at my phone and it was a scoreless draw. And while I was looking at my phone, Nashville scored. And before I went to sleep, Nashville scored again. And then I went to sleep and the final score was 2-0. So I just want to say you're welcome to everyone for being a team player in the middle of the night in Switzerland.
Can't wait for the club to give you another jersey for this achievement that you have.
I am very popular with the club, as we all know.
Yeah, you sure are. In USL, they gave you a nice jersey, though, right? For the
They
miles
did.
traveled.
They did for traveling, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That's what I was referencing mostly. But
I know. I was just being a
I
just
was not in
repaying an
Switzerland.
all fair favor to Valair.
I've never been
being
to
rude.
Switzerland, but one day maybe I'll go to Austria and Switzerland. I went to the dentist this weekend. That's what I did. So, yeah.
I will say this. The Club World Cup did actually get lots of pub while I was in Austria. Like I
Really?
saw it
Well,
all kinds of
Salzburg's in it.
places. Yeah. So, and it's weird because it's like when they're in FIFA and UEFA competitions, they're not Red Bull Salzburg, they're FC Salzburg.
Yeah.
And so they had ads up all over the city about playing in the Club World Cup, including inside the gazebo from The Sound of Music. So these random tourists that are going to see the gazebo from The Sound of Music, which probably by definition don't live in Salzburg, were getting ads about the FC Salzburg game against Real Madrid, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, good result for them too. They drew Al Hilal and then they beat Pachuca. So yeah, not too bad so far. They got Madrid coming up next. So, but we're not here to talk about the Club World Cup. We're here to talk about Steven's weekend specifically. Steven, what did you do on Sunday morning to noon / afternoon?
Well, Sunday morning specifically, I got to see and hang out with two lovely folks. That would be one Clay Trainum and Valair Shabilla. It was fun to see you guys in person. I'm glad we got to do that and hang out and do all the things. It was fun to see you guys in person. It's been a while.
Yeah,
I was talking to my wife afterwards, and I don't think that all three of us have sat down to have an actual conversation in years.
like in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's probably been
Was
at
it
least
the
2 years.
It was probably no. It was probably the 200th episode. It was probably the last time. I want to assume, right?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
It's
lot.
been a while.
But seems like everybody had good weekends and updates. It's been pretty quiet on the Nashville front. Yeah, not a whole lot going on. And actually,
Thanks,
on
Valair.
Monday, the day of recording this episode, BJ Callahan did his press conference, match day -2, and because of prior engagements, I couldn't go. So I don't have any updates for you on that front either. But we will have some updates on 615soccer.com very soon. So because Ben was there, because
Was it?
he's the
Was
journalist,
it?
he's the real journalist.
Was it the dentist? Well, what was it? What was the?
No, I
What was
just had
that?
other things to do because they moved. Okay, they changed the press conference an hour and it messed my entire schedule up. So it is what it is. I'll go. I'll go to another press conference. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll see.
Well,
Actually,
one one of the things that did happen though over the weekend happened on Friday was a Club World Cup match. Of course, in Nashville, our first one of the tournament so far. Of course, LAFC playing against Esperance de Tude. Whatever. I'm gonna go EST. I'm just gonna go EST. I think it's easier, but Esperance
Esperance
is
is
also
Yeah,
acceptable. You said
Camarena.
it already. You're good.
oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Which I was able to go and make the trip and be able to do, which was a lot of fun. It was very unique just to see, what other teams specifically, be a part of the competition, to see how much it did mean to just other people around. I know Valair was there. Clay was still gone, I believe, or Clay was busy, so he was not able to make it. I believe I did get the report that Geodis has broken 150 chairs based on Esperance fans in that section. I can't confirm or deny that, but I think the Uber driver that told me that was correct. I'm not sure. But I mean, it was a fun atmosphere.
You got a report from an Uber driver.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm choosing not to believe that until somebody with better sources tells me. So I'm going to go ahead and move on and tell you about the real things that happened in front of my eyes. And that's the Esperance fans putting in one of the best atmospheres, if not the best atmosphere Geodis Park has ever seen. Now, they only had about 10,000 people there, so it wasn't like sold out or anything like that, but they were full voice, organized, and, uh, j- just absolutely helpful for their team. And I think the team fed off of that, and I think LAFC felt that as well. Um, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the match itself because honestly, it is what it is. LAFC just missed a whole lot of opportunities, and Esperance took their one chance very well. But they had a couple other chances. They could have scored a couple more. That said, I think the highlight of that match and what I came up thinking about it is those fans, and we've heard so much about the Club World Cup and its importance within the soccer hierarchy, and I think seeing those fans puts in perspective what it means to maybe teams who don't usually play on this world stage, not necessarily your Chelseas and your Arsenals and even your Evertons, right? It's like there's this European disdain to this tournament, um, and soccer's played in more places than Europe, believe it or not. And there's soccer culture and fan culture, South America, North America, Africa, Asia. I saw the Oroa Red Diamonds of Japan. I saw their fans. They also didn't have hundreds of thousands of people show up to their games, but whether it's 10,000 or 5,000, the way they cheer for their team and the way they show up for their team and the organization and the absolute passion that comes from it is really what matters here to me, especially since I don't really have a team playing in those tournaments and I don't care who wins this tournament. I'm here for the storylines, and the fans have been the main storyline, I feel like, of this Club World Cup.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you have some of the biggest teams specifically. I mean, depending on when you're listening to this episode, you're going to see one of those teams at Geodis Park at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, and it's going to be even crazier than what
It's
we
at 2.
saw
It's
with
at 2 p.m., but
2
still
p.m.
2 p.m., yeah. But still early.
It's going to be crazier than even what we saw with the Esperance fans, and
Yeah.
like it, it is wild to see these kind of atmospheres in the United States specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see them. I really thought this tournament was going to be more people living in the US going to see their teams. And maybe that's true for the Latin American countries. But I don't think there's necessarily a huge Tunisian population in the U.S. And seeing those fans coming not just from Tunisia but coming in from all around the world to support their team in the U.S. Was a little bit of a surprise for me, and a pleasant one at that. It was cool to see that people were able to travel. Now, I'm not going to get into the how hard it is to get into the U.S. for a soccer match conversation, but that's something that maybe gives me a little bit of a hope for next year's World Cup. Because that's is eventually what's going to determine whether or not this is a successful tournament, or the actual World Cup is a successful tournament, is the fans, and seeing people coming in from outside and enjoy Geodis Park and go and march on Broadway, and sing on Broadway, and the Boca fans are going to do the same thing as well. I think that's beautiful, and I think that's how you expand this love for the game, and I think that's how you share the love of the game. And look, I'm not saying like the Nashville SC fans are going to learn from these fans or anything along those lines, but the more open we are to seeing what these clubs that have existed for over 100 years and how they handle their business, I think that it's only going to improve the atmosphere overall at Geodis Park and in Nashville overall in terms of what it means to be a soccer city. And it's not going to be something that you're going to feel next home match. I'm just saying there are people now paying attention that maybe didn't pay attention initially. And that people who went to Geodis Park almost entirely were different than the people that would go to a Nashville SC game. So it's a nice new set of fan base, and I think I think soccer in America is still in that sort of infant stage that it's gonna need that sort of push.
Well, it's not just the fan base either. You got to talk about the players too. Like MLS is uniquely positioned to do a little bit of recruiting during something like this. Uh, as a number of these teams, some of those players, especially when you talk about South American teams, there's a lot of carryover between players in MLS and players coming out of South America. Part of that is the seasons lineup for a lot of things. I don't think it's in any way a coincidence that the teams that have risen their stock quite a bit in this tournament are the teams that are in season compared to the teams that are in their natural off season. But if you're an up and coming player at any of these clubs, and you have an opportunity to go play in MLS and you play in these MLS stadiums, then it's going to be pretty enticing to improve the league from a player standpoint as well. So that's not as big a deal as maybe exposing other soccer cultures to fans in the United States, but I do think it is worth noting that all of those players that are going to be playing at Geodis Park are playing in a very nice, large soccer specific stadium in the United States, and that can help Nashville, which up until recently has had a checkered history with international signings.
Speaking of Nashville, are has all this soccer made you miss Nashville SC a little bit more? Just with the competitions that are kind of, I was tired. I think I was tired after May. It was obviously a big onslaught of matches in May. But all this time with the Club World Cup, with international soccer going on, I'm ready to get back into MLS, especially with the way that Nashville is playing. Are you guys on the same page as me?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready because I've been gone for a few weeks. So I'm it's a 2 match week. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Nashville is on such a roll that it just feels like such a downer that they went right into this long break of having few games. And so I want to see if they can, make team history, later this week against both New England and DC. So they can stretch this unbeaten run and continue defying the odds as they were laid out before the start of the season and challenging the idea that Nashville isn't one of the better teams in the league.
Cool. Valair, anything from you? Do you have any? Are you can't share excitement in your new role as journalist?
It's not about that. I mean, I don't. I haven't stopped. It's like I went on vacation. I came back and it was like Club World Cup, and it's fine. Like it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything by Nashville SC having a 10-day break. But I'm excited to see where the rest of the season goes. Sure. Like I just don't feel like there's any new excitement because like I don't know. Like it's been ongoing for me because there's other competition. There's so much soccer. We talked about this last episode.
Hey, do
Yeah.
you guys know what is exciting?
What?
A heist.
More
What?
on that on the next segment.
What? Can we not? All right, I
Wow,
appreciate
just
it.
Steven just completely not landing the plane there when I set it up for him.
I didn't. It was way more dramatic than I expected it to be. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun in the next segment. Looking forward to that. We're going to do that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at Pharma Soccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also make sure to check out 615soccer.com. A lot of fun content there. When we're talking about the Club World Cup, we are talking about international soccer and also Nashville SC there as well as Huntsville. All your soccer needs are in one spot, and that is 615soccer.com. If you are interested in joining, being a part of that, please make sure that you do. Would love to have you join, be a part of the conversations that we do have. 615soccer.com. Also, pharmasoccer.com. If you're looking for some awesome merchandise, I finally have my Pharmasoccer merch. You should get it as well. So make sure pharmasoccer.com. Clay is shipping for us on a volume, an audio platform, but yes, Clay is currently sharing with us that merchandise that is there. Sweet. So normally during this segment, this is the time where we talk about the match that had just happened with Nashville SC. But currently, there's nothing really to talk about in that standpoint. You know what we would normally do in those instances is, we would have a little bit of fun. We would get into some hypotheticals. We would have just real deep down discussions. We've kind of gotten away from that in the past 4 or 5 years. So we wanted to bring it back. We wanted to get back to the fun side, not this robotic Valair side that we're all used to now. We are back to the fun of pharmaceutical soccer. Putting the PH in pharmaceutical soccer is
You know
the
that
fun
50
that we.
cent you know that 50 cent meme that's like it's like, why me? I'm not gonna quote the actual thing, but it's like you pick me. It's like what? I'm having a lot of fun in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
But we have this time, and you know what? I think just because it's Clay's idea specifically, I want him to be the one to kind of reintroduce what we're doing here. So, Clay, why don't you give us some insight on how your day has gone today, and why this is the theme for our episode today?
So we were talking earlier today out in the office about the cinematic brilliance that is the Fast and Furious universe, as well as Ocean's 11. They don't have the Oscars they deserve for how great they are, and who doesn't love a
I
great
think it's
heist?
really funny that you bring it up between like Ocean's 11 and Fast and the Furious because one of them is dramatically a better movie than the other one. Like it's not like they're in the same
Excuse
level.
me. Fast and Furious is 11 movies, so one, settle down, and being generous calling Fast and Furious a heist movie because those are family movies. Anyway, anyway, we were just thinking about other general heist movies, Inside Man, the great ones. And I realized that we did a heist draft, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And most of you who are listening to this probably weren't listening then because we were just a little show back in those days. And we're a lot bigger now. And so I figured, why not we do it again with Nashville SC players? And a draft is a format that never happens on podcasts at all, and so it's a very unique thing that podcasts definitely don't do. So why don't we just do a heist draft? We're putting a crew together draft is how I put it in the rundown for today.
Wait, it's a draft of players?
Where have you been, Steven?
Oh shoot.
You're
Wait,
having an off day.
I don't think I'm having an off day. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's
For
hot
for
out,
the
y'all.
for the listeners, the segment literally says we're putting a crew together in quotes draft.
All right,
With
so
no
Clay.
other information.
So Clay, I think I heard you say that the youngest person on this show gets to go first on their pick.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Okay, sounds good. So I will go ahead and get us started. So we're drafting 5 players, and ourselves, of course, are going to be included in this. Um, quick question for Clay, since
Because
you're
we
the
are players of National SC, so yes, we are included in this draft.
quick question for Clay. Can I take BJ Callahan?
I am fine with coaches being involved in this. I will leave it up to Stephen to be the deciding vote here.
I vote no.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there goes my number 1 pick. All right, number 1 pick, number 2 pick, which is number 1 for me. I'm gonna just go ahead and do it and get it out of the way really early. I'm gonna take Alex Muyl as my number 1 pick because look, can do everything, a little bit of everything, follows instructions really well, and just you know exactly what you're getting. Never gonna try to get more, never gonna try to be less. It's just constant, great, and let's face it, can get himself out of sticky situations often. And every time you underestimate him, he says, "No, no, estimate me." And that's why Alex Muyl is going to be my first pick.
I do love the fact that you were like, "Oh, this is obviously everybody's number 1 pick in this scenario." Like, "Oh,
It
yes,
was on my
obviously,"
list. It
because
was on my
not all of
list.
us are as much of Alex Wheel stands as you, Valair. So that's not necessarily everybody's first pick.
Your loss.
Okay.
Stephen, who are you taking?
I mean, I will go with the obvious pick when it comes to any sort of scenario, not like Valair. The obvious pick is going to be Eddie Tagseth. So Eddie Tagseth for sure is a part of my high squad. He would be your getaway driver, your guy to get in and out of a situation. He would be your acrobat man. He is the utility of the group. He is absolutely the guy that you could ask to do anything and he's going to do it. And he's going to do it with a smile on his face
So
because
same
sometimes,
thing as me. Just you just took the shorter guy.
and the one
He
that
took the
runs
more
farther.
worldly one.
Alex Muyl runs just as much as Eddie Taxett does.
No, we do, pull up the data, Valair.
He
Let's go to
does,
the
just
let's,
not in a game. I mean, not in, this is a heist, not a game. He
Hey,
has the stamina to
heisting,
run as much.
it
I don't
is
know
more
about
than a
that.
game, Blair. I
It
agree.
is. It is. This is
It's
family.
more
Yeah.
his family. But I think Eddie Tax has a little bit more innocent looking than Alex Muyl and can probably do a better job in a heist. I'm gonna go with Eddie Tax. That's my number 1.
So all our first picks across the board are all current players. I'm perfectly fine with it being former players as well, but I feel like there's a pretty obvious one. There's something that is in almost every heist movie that has ever existed, and that's a British guy. And so we absolutely need a British guy in the crew. It's just part of what every good heist movie has. And I'm going to go with Sam Surridge. He's a bit of a bigger guy, and he's definitely British, and so he checks the big box for me. So Sam Surridge will be the first pick for me as the British guy in the crew.
Yeah, you definitely need the accent. That's actually a really good point. Really
I don't know
question,
about that.
quick question.
The town did not have a single British person, and that was a great heist. But it's fine.
The town is San Jose's second team that plays in MLS Next Pro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
Snatch definitely had so many British guys in it.
yeah, so did Hot Fuzz. Wait, that's not even a heist movie. Um, can we actually pick former players? Are we saying yes to that?
I'm perfectly
I
fine
was
with that.
thinking,
I've got a couple.
oh,
Oh, okay.
That's what we did last
I
time.
wasn't thinking about that. But if
Yeah.
since we're doing that, then here's my second pick.
no, no,
Annabelle
no, no,
Godoy.
no.
Oh,
Snake
Oh,
draft.
we're doing snake.
oh,
Hey, I'm good with the snake draft.
okay. Fair enough.
If
Fair
we're doing
enough.
a snake draft, I'm good with it because I've already got my pick lined up.
All right, go ahead,
and
Clay.
that is and that is everyone needs a hacker. Everyone needs someone that can get in the weeds, try and figure some stuff out on the computer. And there's a really obvious choice because he was learning coding literally while he was a Nashville SC player, and that is Matt LaGrassa. So Matt LaGrassa, I've started out pretty blonde. I'm not going to lie. For my first 2 picks, I do feel some sort of way about that. But I've got my hacker, I've got my British guy. A lot of times in movies they're the same guy, but not in this particular movie. So we are going strong with the Clay crew.
I mean,
Considering the conversation we had in between segments, I'm not surprised you were going blonde here.
if you're looking to rob like a
What does
house in the
that mean?
Hamptons, if you're looking to rob like a house in the Hamptons or like some sort of house, like it might work out actually to have blonde people specifically in there. My second pick, I think you need some muscle in a heist. You do need the guy that is going to be the muscle in the heist.
The
And I'm going to
brute.
go with the obvious one. That would be one Walker Zimmerman as my muscle. He absolutely will just beast everybody in the heist. He will be the guy that fights most people as needed. Walker Zimmerman is my muscle. That is my next pick.
I'm thinking this along the
This
same
is
lines of
four
you.
straight blonde picks. Four straight blonde picks. Valair, are you gonna keep this going?
I guess no, I'm not, and not on purpose. I'm not even thinking about what color their hair is. What I'm thinking about is another muscle guy that I revealed earlier, I guess, and neither of you picked him, so I'm okay with that. And I'm gonna go with Annabelle Godoy because Annabelle Godoy is perfect for this. Gritty, is not afraid to do the dirty business. We'll go in there, get it done, whatever it is. And I guess I'm just assembling a team of midfielders. I don't know, but but really, I think Annabelle Godoy and Alex Muyl is a really good combo here to kind of be the middleman of this heist. And now it's my pick again. Yeah.
You are loading up on people with takeaways. I mean, and that's literally what a heist is. So that does
But
make sense.
you got a point.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Keep stalling because I'm looking through the squad here. I think
What do you mean you have to look through the squad? You know every
I've
player
literally
on the
got a
squad.
list.
I do, but I need some ideas, man. I think for every here's the thing. We need people who can run fast to inform certain orders from the hierarchy from myself to the rest of the squad, as well as if a police chase or any chase is going to happen, you want someone who can run fast. And for those reasons, I am taking Taylor Washington, not only for his speediness and quickness, but also so he can bless this heist and we can feed the poor afterwards. Because this is like a Robin Hood situation in my head. Like
He
I
so.
was
did
he was
have
my talker. He was my
so
talker,
I
like I designated talker, and I had him, so I got to cross him off my list now.
I had Taylor Washington as my techie just based on his video game knowledge and
Mm,
understanding. I had him as my techie, so
well, neither of you can have him because that's for me now. So go
that's
ahead.
perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. You know what else a heist needs, ladies and gentlemen? A heist needs somebody that is easily able to get on the inside. Somebody that is able to be a part of the conversation nonchalantly, is able to just kind of dive in and dive out specifically when you don't need to talk about them that often. Just they need to be able to be a chameleon and mask themselves whenever they need to. You know what every good inside man has or has the ability to have? Do you know? Do either of you know?
No, I don't do heights on my day-to-day life.
They need a disguise. And do you know what a good disguise is?
A
A
different
mustache.
haircut. Oh,
Mm,
there you go.
Mustache.
mm.
Joe Willis is my inside man because of the fact that he's able to disguise himself with a mustache at any time. But he also is just there, a part of the conversation, sometimes overlooked. I think he'd be fantastic as your inside wheel and deal man.
Steven,
So
can we do a quick reminder of your first two picks?
Sure. My first two picks were Eddie Tagseth
Right.
and Walker Zimmerman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just trying to keep track of this.
so I had a well thought out list, but Valair kind of blew it up with my babyface pick, and it reminded me that I forgot about somebody, and I forgot about somebody who was perfect for this. I forgot about somebody who has already stolen a lot of money, and that would be Miguel Nazarite, the man. That's a low blow. I apologize. But
I
that's a guy who got six figures for a few years for not playing a single game. So Miguel Nazarite is going on to my squad.
Yes. I had him in mind, but for a different reason that I might use for a different player. So go ahead. That's good. That's good.
So I'm going to go ahead and cross out what I did have for this pick. Um, I think in addition to speak to Steven's point, the strongman argument, you need a strongman, and I feel like with Walker off the board, with Godoy off the board, there's not a ton of options left. And for me, I'm gonna go with a guy who's so strong he once hurt my hand when he shook it, and that is Matt Pickens. As
That's good.
you need the guy with the graying hair, the guy who's too old for this, the guy who can handle these situations and be the old pro. And I think Matt Pickens is my old pro and my strong man.
I I do love the fact that we did start this out with a hey, we haven't done this in 4 to 5 years, and we have a lot of new listeners that so let's do this with newer picks and all of that type of stuff specifically. So the newer listeners that are a part can be a part of this heist. Let's pick Matt Pickens, Miguel Nazarite, and Matt LaGrassa.
Only one of those guys wasn't on an MLS contract, and that guy was a coach.
Yeah, they've all been part of the organization. Get over it, Steven. It's your pick, by the way.
I do understand it is my pick.
I'm not pandering to new people. Do your research.
This is
Exactly.
coming from the guy. This is coming
As
from the
Valair
guy
said,
that was
all through 2020, do your research.
Oh no.
It's a bit of an unhinged segment. We apologize, folks.
Yeah, this segment has gone off the rails already. There's no apology needed anymore. It's just, I think we're just gonna scrap this. This is not gonna make it out to the public. We'll see.
we need somebody that is the organizer. We need somebody that is leading this campaign specifically, that is going to guide us to a successful plan. We absolutely need that captain. And Nashville, in my opinion, has had one captain, and that is one Dax McCarty leading the squad specifically. That is the organizer, that is planning the heist. He knows it. He knows how to do it. Dax McCarty is a part of my squad as well.
He was my next pick, so thank you for doing that. And then
Yeah, if I wouldn't have done the banter pick, I would have gotten Dex before you, and I did the banter pick.
Does it
I
suck to lose? Does it just suck to lose to me?
with
I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I'm kind of happy with my high squad right now. It's gotta
with
suck for you guys.
with the knowledge that Dax McCarty would not be part of my heist team, of my crew, that means I will be the de facto leader of this crew, and these people will listen to me. And as we all know, my leadership skills are immaculate. Um, I will. What I want here is to establish some experience, some veteran presence. Somebody who's been there, done that, worn the T-shirt, washed the T-shirt, wore it again, dried it before wearing it again, and that is Teal Bunbury, because he knows what to do in these situations. He'll stay calm, keep a cool, collected head, and while everybody's running around and doing their things, he'll remind everyone that there is importance to this, to what we're doing, and that he's done it before and it's okay. So I'm gonna add Bunbury to my list, and lastly, my last addition, we have the experience, we have the people that are down to do the nitty gritty stuff. We have the speedster. The only thing missing is a good gunman who is excited, who is young, who is ready to take his own take on heist, who's ready to take his own charge. But first, he's got to earn his stripes. And he kind of showcased that he could be a gunman if needed. Um, and that is Ahmed Qasim, because his celebration has already told us everything we need to know, that he's ready to go. And that when this heist happens, he's going to show up and he's going to be ready to defend his teammates. And that is my fifth pick.
Um, when we were thinking about the heist, like obviously Clay brought up the techie, and Valera's right. I think I would probably be the techie a part of my crew, so I don't necessarily need to worry about that standpoint. I'm very happy with my draft at the current moment. Like I honestly think the 4 people plus me that I currently have is fantastic. So I think there's only one thing that is needed left, and that is a fall guy. That is a guy who was there the entire time, but not really there the entire time. That maybe just sat out a decent amount, a bit, just wasn't necessarily a part of the conversation, but was still always there. Didn't even realize he was the fall guy. That is the one, the only. No, Randall Leal is my fall guy. He is my 5th pick in the draft.
I was going with
Randall Leal.
Loba. I wrote down Loba because I thought
I
that's
thought
where
he
you
was
were
setting up.
going.
I thought he was setting up Ake Loba.
Yeah. All right. That's good too.
So I've got one more pick, and I've got two wildly different directions I can go with here. So I think we should, if you have any honorable mentions, keep them in mind. But you know, I've talked about the need for a talker, and then my babyface pick of Taylor Washington went away. Then Dax McCarty went away, and I feel like I'm only left with a favorite of mine for years, long before he played, long before Nashville SC was even a thing, and that would be Jaleel Anibaba, a guy who literally gets paid to talk. So I think he'll be my baby face. It's really between him and old Schaffelberg on this front, but I think Anibaba is the right pick here. I think if anybody needs to, throw that smooth operator, get past any sort of people that might be trying to get in the way, Jaleel's my guy. I think Jaleel's going to figure it out, and I think that rounds out my team pretty nicely.
Yeah, I do think we need to go back what episode this was, how many years ago that we did it, just to figure out like what are the like major differences in what we did. If somebody has the AI and can figure that out, or they just want to go back and listen to that episode, that'd be
Just
fun.
scroll.
But
guys
how
have any
are you
honorable
feeling about your
mentions?
heist? I'm feeling good about mine. I don't know.
So here are the final teams. For me, it's Muyul, Godoy, Washington, Bunbury, Qasim. For Stephen, is Taxeth, Zimmerman, Willis, McCarty, Leal. And for Clay, it's um, Sam Surridge, LaGrassa, Nazarite, Pickens, and Anibaba. So I think all three are respectable teams. And I'll leave it
Valera,
up.
if we had to put one like out of the 3 heists specifically that is absolutely going to get caught first, it's Clay's, right?
Yeah.
Looking at those teams,
I've
thank
already
you.
got one successful guy who's gotten a lot of money for not doing a lot already on my roster. Thank you very much.
I know,
It's
but the communication I feel like will be missing in your team. I don't think there's going to be a lot. You got an accent guy. You got a guy who presumably doesn't speak English because he hasn't even been in the country.
Communication was possibly an issue when Nashville played in 2021. They had a pretty good year.
Hey, we'll leave it up to the listeners to see who's the winner here. But thank you for coming to us with this journey that I didn't know was going on 20 minutes ago. So
I know I am definitely going to be watching like Ocean's 11 or I don't know. I'm a Rogue One. Would you consider Rogue One a
Rogue
heist
One's a great
movie?
heist movie. Rogue One is absolutely a heist movie. Inside Man is my favorite. Inside Man was a staple on athletics bus trips.
I actually am not going to lie. I don't think I've seen Inside Man.
You should go watch Inside Man. It's great. It's genuinely great.
But thank you so much for
And
joining.
it's got a British guy. It's got Denzel. It's got everything you need.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We will put our high squads up, and we'll have some
Hold
votes.
on. I asked if you guys had any honorable mentions, and you didn't mention any. I don't want to let that go.
I don't. My squad's awesome.
Okay, fair enough.
Do
I
you?
was I just had a couple, but if you guys don't have them, I can let it live in mystery.
I have a
No,
nutritionist.
I do think Schaffelberg not being picked is a big miss, and then the other guy I was gonna pick is Palacios. So those were the
Uh,
two.
it's it's interesting. Hani Mukhtar wasn't even talked about across the board.
He's not a heist man. Come on, he's a
He's
family
not yet.
man.
Like Hani is so many things, but I
I
don't
know, I
know
know. I
if
just
he
think it's
would be
funny. He's like
fantastic in
clearly
any
the best
sort of
player.
heist.
He's out
Uh,
here, taking care of his children and
I
stuff.
did have a mercenary pick, but that's the one I dropped for the Nazarite joke, and that was Fafa.
Mm.
I have a
I think
nutritionist. Kasuke Kamara is going to make sure that everybody's in line and that everybody is in shape. That is the only other one that I do have specifically that I would give an
Stephen, as
honorable
you
mention.
mentioned, Kosuke Kimura, I do feel like Valair needs to take a sip of a soft drink again because that
Poison,
was
poison, and we have actual soccer to talk about. Thank you again so much for joining us on this journey. We'll be back in the next segment to talk a little bit about the Gold Cup and national players internationally, as well as a dual match week, 2 match week. And we're going to do that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at PharmaSoccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Of course, 615soccer.com. Please make sure you check that out. A lot of fun content going on there. PharmaSoccer.com for merch. One of the things you can get some content on 615 Soccer for is something that we're going to be talking about right now, and that is the Gold Cup. Currently going on in the United States. Group stage play is completed as of yesterday, I believe. Is that correct?
For the US.
Correct. It's not fully completed.
No, I think there's still. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay. Yeah, because they do the matches at the same time.
Especially for
No, it's
that.
not completed yet. Yeah, I was
Oh,
right.
it's
There's
not.
still there's still some group stage games going on Tuesday, and then that would be it for the group stage. And then the following weekend, Saturday the 28th, is when the knockout round starts.
Gotcha. But I think the thing that is most important for the Gold Cup at the current moment is how it affects Nashville SC because we're selfish and it only cares about. I mean, I don't. Have you guys paid attention to any of the Gold Cup matches at all?
I've watched a few. I've watched the U.S. games, and I watched a couple of the other ones too. I mean, there's some interesting matches going up, but for the most part, it's kind of business as usual for CONCACAF, right? The bigger teams are winning, and the lower teams maybe put up a good fight, and there's a surprise or two. But I haven't been hugely impressed with the competition or hugely impressed with anyone. I would say the U.S. have figured their stuff out a little bit better after losing 4 in a row, winning 3 in a row, and topping the group. Even if it's not like the most like convincing fashion, other than that 5-0 win, it's good. I mean, you need that. This is and they're kind of in a weird situation we talked about where like if they win, everybody's like, yeah, that's what we expect, and then if they lose, it's like the end of the world. So all that said, they've only conceded 1 goal in 3 games, and they've scored 8. I'm still not sure about some of the guys on this squad, but one thing I am sure about is that Diego Luna is going to be the star of this team. I love watching him play. He's so incredible, and he's my favorite player in the U.S. system right now, probably.
the one thing that stuck out to me outside of the U.S. Obviously, Valdez has had a pretty good tournament for the DR, and that matters on the Nashville SC front, as Nashville SC is in the eternal search for a backup goalkeeper. Kind of even predating Joe Willis, they're always looking for a good backup, and so I think that that's interesting. He was the man of the match yesterday in the DR match against Suriname. I also think just to obviously Guatemala has a that's a rooting interest in my household, and Guatemala got its first win over Jamaica earlier in the group stages. They're a team that's also made the last round of uh, World Cup qualifying, and so I do. They've never made a World Cup, Guatemala, and I'm pretty excited about them. They had really tough luck the last World Cup qualifying. I don't think they would have made it, but they just missed out on making the last round of qualifying last time, and they've been on a heck of a run. So just shout out to them.
Sweet. Thank you guys. Because I have been really bad about watching the Gold Cup. So, um, one thing I have also been bad about is paying attention to what's going on in the world of local Nashville soccer. And that is why we have our resident local soccer expert, Clay Trainum, who has not been here for a couple weeks to give the local soccer roundup. Clay, you ready?
Sure. Uh, I've been gone for a couple weeks, so I was playing a little bit catch up myself on this front. But there are a number of teams that play throughout the summer. These are mostly college players or just out of college, maybe in the in between of trying to figure out if they've got a future playing pro soccer. On the men's side, there are several clubs, but we're kind of just looking at the National League ones. And so in the USL League 2, 10SC has had a rough go of things. They lost 3-0 or 3-1 to Columbus United in their most recent game, and they also lost 3-0 to Dothan United. Tennessee Soccer Club also has a women's side. They have also not had a good run here. They were pretty good last year. These are both two teams that have been good in years past. They lost 2-1 to Asheville and 3-1 to Southern Soccer Academy. And then the Nashville Rhythm, which has been around longer than basically everyone left on the amateur side of things. They've had an interesting last week or so. They did beat Tennessee Tempo or TN Tempo 2-0. They had a heartbreak of a draw against them earlier this year. And they won via forfeit over Jackson Ignite, which is unfortunately something that you see on this level sometimes. Jackson could not field enough players. Jackson is also had a rough season in terms of results, so maybe not the most surprising result there that they didn't have enough players to field a team. So we will see on that front going forward. They both have a few weeks left in their regular seasons. There will be playoffs after that, and we'll keep you updated right here on Pharma Soccer.
That was great. Thank you very much, Clay, for that specifically. Thank you for the local soccer roundup. What we do have, though, is an extremely busy week for Nashville SC. It's good to be back, coming off of just some randomness. We start out with a two match week. Uh, First of all, we have New England on Wednesday, which I don't know if you guys know what's currently going on in the U.S. when it comes to the one of the worst heat waves of the current moment of especially in that area. I don't know how much that match will be affected in New England, but we will find out. But we have that on Wednesday, as well as another away match against DC on Saturday. Is anybody going to that DC match, by the way? Anybody going?
Steven is. Do you know Steven?
Of course I'm going. Nobody will come
I'll,
visit me. I have to come visit
I,
everybody else all the time. Nobody wants to come visit me.
excuse me, I'll probably see you on Sunday, but I will be in the DC area and I will not be at the match, regrettably. So, yeah, that one hurts a little bit.
On New England though, I mean they had an interesting season. They started off kind of rough, really, and then they were able to turn things around a little bit once Caleb Porter kind of figured out what he wants to do with all the new players he got. They are one of the only teams, I think, if not the only team, who got more signings in than Nashville SC this offseason. So there was a lot of changes there as well. Caleb Porter had a wholesale of changes coming into the season, but they went on a really nice, I want to say like 7 or 8 game winning streak in the middle of this half of the season. And they kept it going for a little bit until they lost to Chicago in May. And then kind of since then, results have been hit or miss, but they've been able to beat a lot of the sort of teams below them, I guess you can say, or at least not lose to teams below them. They did lose to Cincinnati 1-0 in their last match, so at home. So it's not their home record isn't anything to write home about, but it's they're still, I think, an annoying team to play. I think there's a lot of good players still involved in there. I don't think they fully figured things out, but clearly when they are in, they still have Carlos Hill, which I know a lot of Nashville fans maybe don't have the most fond memories of, but he is really good. That's just a fact. So, the back line is brand new and it has had some issues, but overall, it's a team that doesn't concede a whole lot and doesn't score a whole lot. So, I would assume it would be a low scoring affair, especially with Nashville and New England coming back from this long vacation. And, you know, they play on plastic, as
I,
Gary Smith would say.
I would say for part of the season they didn't concede a whole lot. They have conceded 3 or more, or they have conceded at least 3 goals 3 times in the last few months, and they're a team that's trying to figure things out. And the only win they have since early May in the league is a 3-0 win over Montreal. One, Montreal, but two, it was a Montreal team that had a red card, and all 3 goals were scored after that red card. So that's their only real win recently. But they are New England, as ever, is a team that tends to go in fits and spurts. So they'll go on a run where they look pretty good, and then they'll go on a run where they look pretty bad. And so it's a place that Nashville hasn't historically done well.
I think
In
that's the
up
other
in New
thing is it's
England.
a spot that Nashville has not really done historically
Yeah.
well. But I mean, this
So
season is the season of change. So
yeah, so it would make for a nice change to go up there and be happy leaving, Foxborough, because that just doesn't happen very often.
and then of course we have DC on Saturday, which whatever. Do we have to talk about DC in general when it comes to them being bad? They're bad and we should beat them.
Yeah, I think that's the expectation, certainly. They still have Benteke, right? So,
No,
but
Benteke's been
Yeah.
injured. He's been out, and I think he's still out
I,
on
I
Saturday.
I think the one thing to keep in mind also is that Nashville's coming back to this week with a busy schedule after having very non-busy month beforehand. So I think there's going to be some rotation. I think there's going to be some players kind of playing up to get back to that level. Obviously, Walker Zimmerman is still with the men's national team. Schaffelberg is out with the Canadian team as well. So there, I think we're going to see a couple different changes between the two games. I think regardless of what the situation is and what's going on. By the way, DC beat Cincinnati end of last month. So none of
And
this makes
lost
sense,
7-1 to Chicago
and then
somehow.
lost to Chicago. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't really tell you. It makes a whole lot of sense. I'll go ahead and go into my predictions. I do one thing I'll say actually before I do that is that Nashville will be expected to beat DC regardless of what the situation is and regardless of who is playing and who is not playing. Nashville is the third best team in the East for a reason, and when you're higher up in the table, there are expectations that you need to play by if you want to keep your position. So I will say that Nashville will draw against New England Revolution, and I think that's going to be a 1-1 draw and goal from a Hani Mukhtar penalty. And then I will say that the DC game is going to be a 2-0 Nashville win, where um, Eddie Taxef gets a goal and Andy Nahar gets another goal. Um, that's that's my prediction for those two games. Also, go to Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok and search Valer Shabilla, and then hit that follow button. I got some exciting Club World Cup stuff out there, but also I cover Nashville SC if you didn't know, so it would help you and help me if you follow me.
Valera has shown his age by dropping TikTok finally as a spot where you can follow him. Clay, your predictions.
You'll never follow me on TikTok. You can follow me at Clay Lassol on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram, the last few weeks, you may have seen pictures of my dad falling asleep next to mountains or on top of mountains. And I think that I think Nashville's going to end the curse in New England. I think they're going to go up there and get a win in New England. I'm going to say 2-0. and goals from, I think, Surge. Surge is on a heater. I think that he stays on a heater. He scores one and assists one, and the other goal is scored by Hani Mukhtar. And then, in classic Nashville fashion, they will draw against DC. I'm sticking with that sort of prediction until that doesn't happen that way.
At PHStephenHD on all of my socials. You can follow me on TikTok if you want. I have more followers than Valair on TikTok, which is fun. So you can follow me there if you truly want to. But at PHStephen on all my things. Of course, 615soccer.com and pharmasoccer.com, as we mentioned already. I don't think we're going to break the curse on Wednesday, and it's going to be a 0-0 draw on Wednesday just to stay in fashion. But then we're going to come back and be ready to go on Saturday and win 4-0 in DC. Sam Surridge hat trick and a goal from Jack Mayer on a corner. And I get arrested for being on the field at some point. So that is my prediction. Thank you guys so much again for listening. Be a part of the show. We really do appreciate it. We'll do a poll to see who you think has the best heist team. So you could vote on that as well. But we'll be back next week to our regularly scheduled programming to talk about Nashville SC and the matches that we just talked about and predicted. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week.